Hey everybody, I'm back. It's me, Megan Fox here. I write at pgmedia.com, and it is my oldest daughter's 16th birthday today. So we're about to go off and have, a really fun time. We're going to the bowling alley with her friends, and it's going to be great. And by the way, I look better than any of these characters dressed up to go to the bowling alley than any of these people in this show have put 0 effort into looking decent, and that's pretty sad when someone who lives in the middle of nowhere, looks better going to a bowling alley party than whatever the tablecloth, checkered, nonsense, rubber-gloved, fashion is we're getting on this supposedly fashionable show. Anyway, I had to pop on here quickly and read you this article because I really like it when I hear an article read to me because I don't always have time to look at my phone and be reading. And I would love it if there was like an app where you could put in a link and have someone read you an article. So I'm kind of doing that for you here. But one of you wonderful people sent me a new article in Vogue. Vogue is throwing shade in Charlotte's vernacular, throwing shade on And Just Like That, which I find interesting because Vogue had such a big part in the show, and I'm sure that they were paid handsomely for that when Carrie went to work for Vogue. Remember that? So on the 21st, just a couple days ago, Haley Maitland at Vogue wrote this article, The Mysterious Disappearance of Miranda Hobbs. And she writes, there's a moment in the most recent episode of And Just Like That when a breathless Miranda calls Carrie from an Uber to tell her that she's on her way to the airport. Her final destination, Cleveland, and Che Diaz, whom she's been sleeping with for 3 weeks, in spite of the fact that she's been married to Steve, chia seeds are bullshit, Brady, since low-rise jeans were a thing the first time around. I'm going to surprise Che at their show and tell them that we can be together, she gushes. Oh my God, I'm in a rom-com, Carrie. Carrie's absolutely pitch perfect response. Okay, well, safe flight, whoever this is. What in the name of Sleepless in Seattle has happened to Miranda Hobbs? While even the snarkiest and Just Like That commentators have mentioned getting a dopamine hit from seeing the much-loved Sex and the City trio back together again, in many ways, the real Miranda is less present in the series than Samantha. Sorry to pour a Snapple bottle full of pee on your bonfire, but Miranda of AJLT and the Miranda of SATC are two different people. I'm glad it's not just us noticing this. Carrie may be back to being a chaotic, self-centered whirlwind of Manolo Blahniks and Marlboro Lights, albeit with the addition of babushka scarves and rubber gloves. Charlotte is actually more Charlotte than ever, Miss Manners with Excel skills, but Miranda, Sex and the City's resident Type A Capricorn, appears to have been single white femaled by an overly sensitive Cancer whose way of dealing with insecurity is to take an hour each night to color code M&Ms. For the Harvard grad, this is more of an Invasion of the Body Snatchers reboot than a Sex and the City one. I submit to the court as evidence her big career move. It's easy to believe that Miranda would have quit her job during the Trump administration and decided to retrain as a human rights lawyer, but she would sooner have cheered for the Mets than breathlessly gone on about being a part of the solution in front of another lawyer, especially one as whip-smart as Karen Pittman's Dr. Nia Wallace. And it is really likely that the former Miss Hobbs Esquire, who spent a trip to Atlantic City working her way through a stack of New Yorkers, would reference Ibrahim X. Kendi's How to Be an Anti-Racist in 2021 as if she had only just discovered it. Given Miranda's 11 a.m. vodka habit at the beginning of the season, I overlooked this behavior for a while, but after episode 7, I'm about to file a missing persons report with Detective Stevens. And just like that's Miranda has lost her balance, literally. Her attempt to sneak away from Jay's set in the too high heels this week resembled nothing so much as a baby wildebeest trying to stand up for the first time. And she's sober now. And while the old Miranda would have faced her midlife crisis by whipping a legal pad out of her normcore briefcase and making a pro-con list, this Miranda's response is a lot more Carrie. All of which leads us back to Che. I am all for Miranda's queer plotline, but it has to feel true to the original character. The person who once told Steve, "Buy great sex," while setting her alarm clock for 5 a.m. is not the same individual who soberly told Che she loved them 3 orgasms into their relationship. Miranda is someone who places her trust exclusively in her Palm Pilot and who broke down the exact minutes Steve would be allowed to co-parent baby Brady in a notarized document. Maybe she would jump into bed with someone, seduced by some northern lights and a woke button, but she would never leave her husband of 15 years without any concrete discussions about what her relationship with Che would entail, let alone neglect to speak to Brady before torpedoing his life. In fact, her Rambo moment when she goes apeshit on Che for giving her teenage son a hit is as close to the real Miranda she's been all season. This is so true. And Che is no Tom Hanks. Would someone please drag Samantha out of Annabelle's and back to Manhattan and to tell Miranda that? Miranda has reluctantly listened to X, Y, and me and heard Carrie's warning that Che rides all the rides during an awkwardly long metaphor about sex and roller coasters. Surely the Harvard Law class of 90 grad, if anyone, would recognize that Che is the sort of person for whom saying I love you might carry a different weight than it does for her, and that Che's stipulation but they can never give Miranda anything traditional might mean that she can never give her anything beyond casual sex? What's the point of an Ivy League education if you never learn to avoid people who say, DM me? Maybe when Miranda arrives in Ohio at the beginning of next week's episode, Che will be sat in their room at Holiday Inn staring at her LinkedIn page and waiting for her to burst through the door. Or maybe she will be fingering a Cleveland housewife who's been fantasizing about her ever since she read that vulture profile, which she's entirely within her rights to do, given her openness about her openness when it comes to sex. In a way, I hope it's the latter. Maybe that would be the wake-up call that Miranda needs. Her moment to eat some Betty Crocker cake out of the garbage and really try to figure out what's going on in her life instead of diving headfirst into another relationship like at a Barney's warehouse bin. Because, as Miranda 1.0 once said, what about us? What do we think? We feel? We know? Christ! Remember that? Do you remember that scene where she's so upset that the girls are constantly talking about guys and what to do about the men in their lives? And Miranda's like, what about us? What do we want? That is such a good point for her to have ended that on. And I just wanted to share that with you before I head off to my festivities for the day. So have a great day. Enjoy the content that's out there, the new content from both Drag Dungeon and Real Housewives. Real recaps kept me busy all weekend. So much great entertainment is coming out of this. So let's hope that they do renew this train wreck so that we can just keep doing this. All right, guys.